Good evening. Tonight, the United States stands at a crossroads, one that could reshape global stability, redefine American leadership, and echo across generations. It is a moment charged with uncertainty, emotion, and risk. And it begins with a warning. President Donald Trump says he is weighing what he calls very strong military options against Iran. 3 words. Very strong options. They were spoken without a timeline, without a detailed plan, without a clear definition, but their impact was immediate. Those words are echoing far beyond Washington tonight. They are being heard in Tehran. They are being studied in military command rooms. They are being analyzed by U.S. allies. And they are being watched carefully by America's adversaries. For millions of Americans, they raise urgent and deeply personal questions. Are we on the brink of another military conflict in the Middle East? What would U.S. military action actually accomplish? And what would it cost? Not just overseas, but here at home. To understand why this moment matters, we need to look first at what is happening inside Iran. Across the country, protests have erupted. In major cities, in smaller towns, in places that rarely make international headlines. The demonstrators are not calling for war. They are calling for dignity. They are protesting rising prices that make food unaffordable, an economy strained by years of sanctions and mismanagement, political repression that leaves little room for dissent, and a lack of personal freedoms that many Americans take for granted. Videos shared online, before internet access was restricted, show crowds chanting, marching, and confronting security forces. Then, the crackdown. Witnesses and international observers report armed police moving in, mass arrests, internet blackouts, and an increasing number of civilians reportedly killed, families searching for loved ones, hospitals overwhelmed, fear replacing hope. For Americans watching tonight, this is not just a distant crisis on a map. It forces a difficult and uncomfortable question. When a government uses force against its own people, does the United States have a responsibility to act? The US and Iran have been adversaries for more than 4 decades. Their relationship has been shaped by mistrust, sanctions, nuclear tensions, and proxy conflicts stretching from Iraq to Syria to Yemen. It is a history filled with threats, missed opportunities, and moments of near confrontation. But internal unrest inside Iran changes the equation. A government under pressure at home feels vulnerable. A vulnerable government may act unpredictably, and unpredictability in a volatile region is dangerous. That is the backdrop against which Donald Trump's statement arrives. He did not announce an attack. He did not issue an ultimatum, but he made something unmistakably clear. Military force is on the table. For many Americans, that language triggers memories. Memories of conflicts that began with certainty, with confidence, with promises of quick victories, and ended with years of war, thousands of lives lost, trillions of dollars spent, and questions that still linger today. So tonight, the question becomes unavoidable. What does very strong actually mean? Military analysts say it could take many forms. It could mean targeted airstrikes against Iranian military facilities, designed to weaken the government's ability to suppress protests. It could mean cyber operations aimed at disrupting communication networks or command systems. It could mean naval action in strategic waterways, sending a message of force without boots on the ground. Or it could be a combination of pressure, meant to intimidate rather than invade. But history teaches a sobering lesson. Once military force is used, control over what happens next is never guaranteed. A limited strike can provoke retaliation. A warning can turn into escalation. And escalation can spiral into full-scale conflict. This moment is especially dangerous for 3 reasons. First, Iran is internally unstable. The protests signal weakness, but they also increase the likelihood that leaders respond aggressively to project strength. Second, the United States is divided and cautious. After decades of overseas conflicts, many Americans are deeply skeptical of new military engagements. They ask, what is the end game? What is the exit strategy? Who pays the price? And third, the global environment is already tense. Major powers are watching closely. Russia, China, European allies. Any U.S. move will be interpreted not just as a response to Iran, but as a signal of America's priorities and limits. This situation also carries immediate consequences here at home. Iran sits near one of the most critical oil transit routes in the world. Any disruption real or perceived, could drive energy prices higher almost overnight. That means higher gas prices, higher transportation costs, higher prices at the grocery store. Foreign policy decisions have a way of showing up in everyday life. At the pump, at the checkout line, on monthly bills. This is why Americans are paying attention. Supporters of a hardline approach argue that strength prevents greater violence. They believe decisive action could deter Iran's leadership from further crackdowns. That showing force now could prevent a larger war later. That hesitation signals weakness. Critics see it very differently. They argue that military threats could harden Iran's leadership. That outside pressure often allows authoritarian governments to rally nationalist support. That strikes could weaken protest movements rather than protect them. And most importantly, they warn that civilians would pay the highest price. So this debate is not just political. It is strategic, it is moral, and it is deeply human. Does pressure save lives or cost them? Does force protect freedom or undermine it? There are alternatives to military action. Diplomatic pressure coordinated through allies. International investigations into human rights abuses. Targeted economic measures tied specifically to civilian protections. Humanitarian support for displaced families. But diplomacy moves slowly. And for protesters facing batons, bullets, and prisons tonight, slow solutions may feel like no solution at all. This creates one of the most uncomfortable questions for American leadership. If the United States does nothing, does that signal acceptance of repression? If it acts militarily, does it risk igniting a conflict that harms the very people it aims to protect? Behind every strategy discussion are real human beings. Young protesters risking everything for change. Parents afraid for their children. Families caught between fear and hope. And potentially, American service members, men and women who could be ordered into harm's way. These are not abstract costs. They are real. They are permanent. And they deserve careful consideration. In the coming days, the world will be watching closely. Movement of U.S. military assets. Statements from Iranian leaders. Reactions from Europe, Russia, and China. Signals from Washington about what comes next. Every word matters. Every decision carries weight. Because moments like this do not announce themselves as historic while they are happening. They only become historic afterward, when the consequences are clear. As Americans follow this developing story, the larger questions remain. What role should the United States play when authoritarian governments face popular uprisings? Should military power be used to influence internal conflicts? And how does America balance its values with its interests? This moment is not just about Iran. It is about how the United States defines leadership in an unstable world. Is power used to deter, to defend, or to dominate? And how far do the ripples of these decisions travel? Into the future, into global stability, and into the lives of ordinary people. This story is still unfolding. The choices made now could shape the Middle East, global markets, and America's standing for years to come. We will continue to follow developments closely and bring you verified updates as they happen. Thank you for watching.
Subscribe Blue Insider for more latest updates.